Hi, this is a quick video showing how to use the Crimp tool to create the connectors for your new DashX controller. This is the tool, Crimp tool. In here are the jaws. It's important that you pay attention to which side of the jaws you're using, and depending on whether you've put the jaws in yourself by removing these two screws, you'll want to, because they can go in either way. You'll notice that one side of the jaws has writing on it and the other side does not. And I'll show that under the microscope a bit better once we load up one of the pins. Turn on the microscope here. Alright, this is one of these pins that we're going to crimp onto these wires. So you'll take your cable and you want to measure enough cable from there to there, which is 20 millimeters. So measure out 20 millimeters. Carefully strip the wire. Don't cut the jacket on the outside. Don't cut the wires on the inside. If you have foil or an extra shield wire for these ones, we don't need that. We just need our 4 wires for the motor connector. Alright, now we're going to take one of the pins, and if you look closely at the jaws here, this is the side with the writing, and if you compare that to the side without the writing, you see that the openings are smaller on that side. So the bigger side is the side for the wire with the insulation. So what you need to do is, the crimpers work by squeezing them. They ratchet open and closed. So to open them, you squeeze them all the way, and then they'll click open. As you're closing them, if you make a mistake and you don't want to cycle all the way through, you have this little latch right here which you can push up and it will open them. Otherwise you can see it ratcheting. You push that up and release it. Normally you just crimp them all the way and then let go. Alright, so cycle the crimpers, open it up, grab your pin. This is the important part that you don't want to get backwards in a few ways. We need the wider side is going to be the wire, so we need the pin on the opposite side. So if I hold my writing facing up away from the floor, then I want to make sure my pin is sticking out on the side with no writing. We are going to use the 20. It's not the smallest, not the second smallest, but the third, and not the largest. 1, 2, 3, 4. From smallest to largest, we're going to use the 20, the third size. So we open that up. Now it may be tempting because it fits in there so nicely like that, to put it like that. When you do that, you will not actually, get it to focus there. You won't actually be crimping the pin closed. I'll show that under the microscope in a moment. So don't do that. We'll just release that. You want to make sure that the pin, which has this little cup shape, is facing down into those jaws like that. microscope. Just move the microscope up. Okay. That's what we're going for. Not like that. Feels like it fits, but you'll end up just squishing the wire into nothing and not crimping the metal around it. So make sure that you have it like that, and make sure that it is, if we're looking at it from here, that it's just flat flush with the top of the jaws. And then go ahead and click it so you feel it hit it, and then you can do one more click just to kind of squish it in there so it'll hold it. There we go. And we have the pin sticking out on the non-worded side of the jaws, which are we have the bigger side over here for the wires. We have it in the 20. You can see there. And over here, the other thing to make sure of that you want to be careful of is right there. You can see that the pin is sticking out, the round part of the pin. We're not going to crush that. Right there. You want to make sure that that part is clear of the jaws. The only part we're crimping is this piece and this piece. This piece is designed to wrap around the insulation of the wire, and this piece is designed to wrap around the wire, the bare wire itself. And we shouldn't touch this part. Okay, so now that we have the pin inserted, you'll want to get your wire and strip just about 4 millimeters. It's okay if you go a little bit longer because the wire can go into the pin. You want to strip at least 4 millimeters off, not a whole lot more, because you're going to be placing it in there like that, and you want the insulation, like I said, to just, let's get that green wire out of the way. You want the insulation to sit like that. So if you strip too much, you're going to have to push a bunch of it into the pin and you may run out of room. Okay, you also don't want to do that because then you're crimping around the plastic, the insulation, you'll get no connection. You don't want to do that because then you're crimping no insulation and it's easier for the connection to break. That is the spot that you want. Which is a little bit trickier once you have it in the crimper. Okay, so you can make a mark on there if you want, or depending on how good you are at it. I'm just going to go ahead and maybe make a little mark on the wire there so that we can tell how far to insert it. On the green one. All I'm doing there is just so I can see when I put it in the crimper. I want it to be like that, just that little dot on there to have just disappeared in. Okay, so let's bend that wire out so we don't accidentally crimp or smush the other ones. We don't have a whole lot of length here to work with because all of this has to squish into this clamp when we're done. Alright, So we're going in, we're double checking we're on the lettering, the wording side, and we have our little mark there. Put it up where you can see it. And we're just going to put it in there till the mark just disappears. And then carefully hold everything and go ahead and cycle the crimpers all the way through. Alright, when you release them, it's been squished down into the jaws pretty well. And the best way to get it out of there is to gently grab the wire right here. Don't just grab the whole cable and pull, but grab the wire as close to the jaws as you can and just pull up. And then we want to make sure that that is nice and straight. Let's have a look at that under the microscope. Alright, so you can see the insulation is perfectly crimped. This is exactly what we wanted. And we can see wire sticking through here, which is what we want. If you don't see wire making it up to here, then you're going to have to try again. So that's a beautiful crimp. I'll do one more. A little faster this time. Alright. So if the crimpers are closed, cycle through, open them up, find the 20. Make sure the pin's pointing down the opposite way of the writing, making sure that the cup U shape is pointed opposite the U that we're going for, like this. Make sure that we're not sticking out from the jaws like that. So make sure it's flush. Checking on the other side, making sure that that is sticking out and not going to get crimped in there. And you can see that it slid perfectly. That's the part that you want to line up. Let's see if I can get that focused a bit better. Right there. Alright, and go till we get about one click. There we go. Now it's held in place. We're ready for the wire. Grab your wire that you've stripped 4 to 5 millimeters off of. Go ahead and make a mark. It just makes it easier to see how far in you've gone. That one won't show up very well, but it should work. Okay. Make sure you get all the wire in. Don't get any little strands bent off sideways. Every little strand is very important. And just take your time wiggling in there so you're not bending the strands or anything. It should just slide right in. There we go. That's where we want it. And go ahead and cycle with a crimping tool. Again, now it's stuck in there. I'm just going to gently pull upward on the red wire with my fingers close to the jaws as I can. pop out with very little force. That's an even better crimp. I think last one I had this just slightly inside the jaws, so it got squished just the teeniest bit. So make sure that's outside of the jaws. Again, we see the wire sticking through, we see the insulation. That's a beautiful crimp right there. And now our wire is ready. We have four pins crimped onto our cable, no extra wires, no nicks or cuts. Now you don't want to forget to get your cable boot on there. It's even easier if you put it on before you do all the stripping and crimping. It should still fit if you're careful. Make sure that goes on. Order of the wires is very important. Follow the wiring diagram. It'll be different depending on what kind of where the motor is wired at the other end. If you look closely, you will see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 on the back there. This is the front where the pins are going to stick out, and this is the back where they will go in, and then the boot will screw onto it there. Alright, so for this particular wiring, I'm going to put one up at the top, black into number 1. Now I like to put the pins in just a little bit, okay, just into there before they go click, and get them all kind of lined up, because otherwise you don't have much wire to work with. And I'm going to go with, so number 2's over there, 2 is going to be red. See what I'm doing here, so I can actually pull these kind of back out. That way I don't have to bend the wire as much. And we got 3 opposite 2. I'm going to go green in 3. I am gonna bend that one just a little bit to get him in there. And same thing with white into number 4. And as we're getting close, it should start to kind of look like that. And then you're going to just start wiggling these down in. Gently, slowly, carefully. Alright, and you should see them coming out the other side there. Now, it might be tempting to grab those with some pliers, but you'll crush them. Don't do that. Go ahead and just place it down and wiggle and push the wires. You'll hear those clicks. Alright, and if you look closely in there, you'll see that one of them isn't sticking out as far as the other. Number 3 hasn't clicked in yet, so I need to make sure what's 3, green. I need to wiggle the green one just in a little further. There we go. And then just give the cable a good wiggle tug. Make sure nothing comes loose, nothing pulls out. Pretty firmly. You want to make sure everything is in there correctly. And if you did a good job, you should have very little sticking out there, and when you pull your cable clamp back up here, the boot should just screw on. And see how we have the insulation there. The light's not great there. It's all black. be there. There we go. That the boot insulation goes all the way in there. Focus camera. There we go. Alright, which is what we want. We don't want to see any of the wires inside in there. We want to clamp down on this outer jacket. And then depending on the size of your cable, if there's a little bit sticking out, then we'll use the clamp like this. There we go. And if it is a skinny little cable, you can turn the clamp upside down and put that bulge down into the cable. So we're going to put ours like that and screw it in. Get them both started. Double check everything looks good. Go ahead and clamp it. You don't want to crush the cable. You just want to make sure it has a good firm grip on it. So you may not be able to tighten the screws all the way. In fact, you shouldn't if it's crushing the cable. So again, you want it to come down, squish the cable, but not crush it. And there we go. That is now the motor connector for one end of the new DashX controller. Here is the controller. Just put it down here like this. And your new connector will just go in there. Click in. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and please contact us if you have any questions.